all this governmental stuff, all these controls, like I was never a fan as a child. Like I knew something was fishy, something doesn't smell right. Now with the Epstein stuff, see what you got to realize, right? Let's play 6 degrees of Epstein, right? Let's do 10 because it's that big. Okay, let's find 10 of Epstein's like closest associates, and then let's go 10 deep on their closest associates. And if we keep doing that, you're gonna find out like at least half the government is dirty. At least half. Like, I'm being really conservative. In my opinion, it's probably more like 80 or 90%. And what you don't understand is, like, these people have families, these people have ties and connections, so that trickles down into corporations. It trickles down into cities. It trickles down into HOAs. Like all these people are super corrupt, and they live this life of corruption, show this life of corruption, and then their underlings become corrupt. Like, dude, who do you think stealing all that money in California for the homeless? It's some rich kid, some dummy rich kid who daddy said, go to college and I'll take care of you. And they went to college, and then they got a degree in, I don't know, homeless problems. Right? And then they get out, they start an NGO, they got to make, a 6-figure salary, and they just start bilking the government. Like, it's such a scam. And that's just one example. It's happening everywhere. Like, I'm a pest control dude. And, well, I'm not a pest control dude anymore. I was a pest control dude. I would go in these, like, super nice buildings, because I'm in South Texas. Everybody needs pest control. I'd go in, like, these nice-ass places, right, where these super rich dudes are working. They're not working. They're just hanging out, goofing off. They answer a couple emails a day, maybe assault their secretary. You know what I mean? Like, it's so prevalent, dude. And 40%, see, if we investigate how deep these Epstein files are, it's going to collapse everything. And 40% of our voting base is already retired. Like, they're rich because their property value is high and their stock value is high. That's not real money. They're not sitting on a pile of gold. So if all this stuff collapses, then they're going to get screwed pretty hard. Like, if you went through America and just cut everybody's money in half, I'd be like, yeah, okay, that's cool. But these other people, these rich old boomers, oh, dude, that would ruin their life, bro. Dude, you could cut it down by 3/4, and I'd be like, yeah, okay, I guess. No, dude, they'd be devastated. They wouldn't get to live on their golf course. They wouldn't get to live in their gated community. They wouldn't get to pretend that they were right all the time and they never made a mistake, and my government would never do that. Like, literally, like, all these people have been incentivized to stick their head in the sand. And I know, I'm a pool guy. I deal with these people. You would be amazed at how stupid these people are. And they, like, have all the resources. It's freaking wild. And then that's why America doesn't want to prosecute. We have such a huge population of boomers, and they own everything. And the second the system collapses, they're done. And they knew it was all going to collapse when they set it up too. Don't let them tell you any different. They want it to collapse after they die. See, oh, that's my grandparents' problem. Or my grandchildren's problem. That dude, I remember being in like a middle school, bro, and like in the 90s, and they were telling us about global warming, and they're like, but you're not gonna have to worry about it. It's gonna take so long. Like, your grandchildren will worry about it. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna have grandchildren before the world collapses. I just don't get it, man. Like, how could we have so much apathy in the world? I've been calling this place the United States of Apathy for a long time. United State of Apathy. That's what USA stands for. Like, man, it's so bad, dude. Nobody cares about anybody else. All they care about is how much stuff they have. It's crazy, right? And if once they have a bunch of stuff, like, you get a hold of somebody who's just had stuff their whole life, and they're like, oh my God, I care so much about this and so much about that. And it's like, well, yeah, daddy gave you money your whole life. Like, imagine if you had to care about feeding yourself. Imagine how much your life would change. You know, imagine if you actually had to worry about rent. Imagine if you, and there's just enough of these people to keep the status quo going. Meanwhile, everybody else is getting run through the ringer, right? I work 50 hours a week, dude, and I live in a tiny cracker box apartment, 1-car household. My girl works 40. We have a kid. Dude, we are struggling, dude, and neither one of us has missed a day of work in 5 years. What's up with that? You know what I mean? Like, and we're not working minimum wage jobs, dude. She works for a big company. I work for a big company. And they're paying us all right. Like, I mean, but really they're not. Nobody's paying all right. Like when I see all this crime and stuff in these other cities, these jack boys and all this is that, it's like, well, what am I going to do? I'm going to tell them to go get a job at McDonald's, and they don't even have a credit score. So basically, like, yeah, you're going to work all the time, and then you're going to be miserable whenever you're not at work. It doesn't make sense, dude. It's not like back in the day where I'd get a job at a factory putting, one nut on one bolt 3 times a minute and then be able to buy a house after 2 years. It's crazy. Like, buy a house. Like, 5-year mortgages. Like, what? Boomers really sold us out, dude. They really did. So that's my rant on this whole thing. And dude, the Epstein thing, it's so much deeper and more prolific than anybody could imagine, dude. Like you think Epstein was the only Epstein, and then you got dudes doing it on their own. There's that Fox Island, dude. Google Fox Island and look at that. That was a government-funded pedophile ring that they were taking these what do they call them? Underprivileged children, right? They're taking them out to an island. They're molesting them, they're filming it, and they're selling the films to people. They made millions and millions of dollars. Meanwhile, they're getting government funding because we're helping these impoverished children. Yeah, dude, this is bingo. And that's just one example of what I know. And what the hell do I know? You know what I mean? I don't have my finger on the pulse of the world. I'm just a regular dude who's had to work his whole life, and I'm just looking on the internet. Yeah, that's a fact. Came out that other island next to Epstein Island. Dude was doing the same thing. Some other creepy rich old dude. Nah, you know, the only people, right, who don't want this stuff to come to light and who don't want to see repercussions for this are the people who hold a lot of stocks and a lot of property. Because think about it, right? What are stocks? They're just vibes, dude. Like I could, like you can take just some average company and then something happens politically or something makes it popular. Like look at GameStop. Yeah, GameStop is a perfect example of how stocks are vibes. It's all fictitious, right? And they don't want to collapse the system. They're relying on the system after all. They spent the last 20 years day drinking, driving their golf cart, and living their best life, and they're trying to live forever on top of it. What's the point in trying to live forever if you don't get to keep all your stolen money? $38 trillion in debt. I'll bet you the amount of debt is definitely very close to the amount of fraudulently spent money while that debt was being accumulated. People are like, oh yeah, like why are we still giving money to Afghanistan? Dude, we were giving them $85 million a week or something. We're still giving money to the Taliban. You know why? Because the people who give the money get a cut of the money. That's why. If you know anything about crime or illegal stuff, dude, everybody who touches it gets a piece. That's why. That's why it doesn't stop. Like they've had a bill they've been trying to push through for 2 years now that stops us giving money to the Taliban. I pay taxes. I don't want my money going to the Taliban. We really need to not pay our taxes, dude. We need to write a law that's like if the government isn't transparent with where your money is going, then you don't have to give them the money. because they're giving it away. They're giving it to our enemies. That way, because we got to fund later wars, right? Like, there's a lot of people, a lot of rich people in this world who, if everybody stopped fighting, they'd be really irrelevant really quick, right? And so they got to instigate all the fighting. The same people that are funding all this rioting and all this like left versus right crap, they're homies with the same people who sells the solution to the problem, right? Like BP oil, when that BP oil spill happened, right? They made more money off the cleanup than they ever would have off of the well. Now, where did that money come from, though? Came from us, came from taxpayers. The regular people are the ones paying for that. We paid for that cleanup. BP didn't. BP got paid tons of money to do that cleanup. The first year of the cleanup, they made 10x what they made the year before. Everything's a scam, dude. And what sucks is, like I said, 40% of our voting population are people who shouldn't even be driving a car. They're people who can get scammed by Indian dudes who, all it takes is one Indian guy to convince them that the IRS is trying to collect money and they got to get paid in Apple Pay. What? And these are the people who've never been wrong. These are the people who worked at a gas station for a couple years, bought a house back in the day, and now they're millionaires. For those reasons specifically. Oh, I bought this house for $50K. Now it's worth $20 million. Oh, I bought it in Los Angeles or New York. Like, it's so ridiculous and it's so freaking dumb, man. Once the whole people, like, we need to cap the voting age at 70. Just no more voting after 70, Grandpa. Because you're not voting for the future. You're voting to maintain the status quo. Like, you have no vested interest in the future of this country, even a little bit. And even when old people claim to have a vested interest, guess what their vested interest is? These super rich, super elite, acquire more money and try to live forever. We've seen that in the Epstein files, right? What's the point of being super duper mega ultra rich, untouchable, a god on earth if you can't live forever? It's crazy, dude. Another thing too, I wish they would take Jeffrey Epstein's DNA and then run it through the cold cases that we have. All these cold cases we've had built up for years. Dude, they didn't even process rape kits for 10 years, 15 years in certain places. That's why you see like some old man getting busted every week for some stuff he did 20, 30 years ago. So, yeah, basically you're just bringing him to the nice retirement home. We're paying for his hospice. That's not punishment. That's not justice. That's not any of these things. No, we need accountability in this world, man. I think that's what's been holding the world back. You know why we can't all get together and fix the planet? You know why we can't all get together and accomplish any goals? Because there's no accountability. People like you think, oh well, it's this side or that side, or these people versus these people. But what you don't realize is that there are people behind the scenes pulling the strings to make all that happen. Yup, 100%. And those people all hang out together. They're all homies. They all go away to Bohemian Grove or the Trilateral Commission or the Bilderberg Group, or they meet up on some island down in the Keys. It's so disgusting. You know what I do like, though? This is the first time we've ever been able to see it. Think back in the day, right? Like 100 years ago, all these meetings were done in person. They could keep a better handle on it. But with the age of information, it's a lot harder to hide all your secrets. Also, think of the story in the Bible. I'm not a big Bible guy. I'm not trying to preach the Bible, right? But there are some things that you can look at, like the Tower of Babel. Like, all of a sudden the people got more powerful than the God. So the God destroyed their apparatus for challenging the God. And then they split all the languages. Well, what's the internet? You could be from anywhere in the world and you and I can have a conversation. Right? So what do you think the quote-unquote gods are going to do about it? Dude, this can get wild in these next 10 years, I'm telling you.